Hi there, this is Irina Barnett, and I love having conversations about life's defining moments and understanding human experiences. Moments That Define Us podcast is dedicated to healing the world one story, one defining moment at a time. So let's get into another conversation.
I didn't want you to think that I'm like just bailing on
No,
you because
no.
like I have to have this conversation. You did the documentary called Building Better Future for Us through PBS.
Yes.
So tell me, how did this whole project come about?
Yeah, great question. So I initially graduated. I went to this software engineering program in 2020 called the Turing School of Software and Design, and there, after graduating from there we have like this Slack alumni channel,
Okay.
and one of these channels is for like alumni career opportunities. And so somebody in that chat had posted this, and I remember them saying um, a I believe they called it a bizarre opportunity that they heard of,
Oh.
where if you're interested in public interest technology and you're interested in traveling, but
hmm
also living on a van and being filmed interviewing people, would you like you can sign up for this opportunity? And I was like, well, I've traveled a lot,
Yeah.
and people close to me know I love to talk. And so I thought, and but then the thing that I was not so familiar on was what exactly is public interest technology.
hmm
And this entire journey of me having even going into Turing School of Software and Design, um, that initially was, it was definitely an interest of mine, but I think that there's a portion of me that was like, felt like I was betraying like what I had been doing in my past, being that I was doing environmentalism and marine biology and
hmm
conservation work. And so going into tech, it was like mixing oil and water, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, there's got to be some middle ground here somewhere.
hmm
And turns out that public interest technology is what I would think is to be that middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, I see why you would feel like you betraying what you've done,
Mm.
because when you think in just like in general, right, about technology and about what you were doing, it's like so very different
So,
things, right?
mm,
But you're right, like through this documentary, you and there was Julie, right,
mhm.
and Antonio,
Anthony,
Anthony.
yes. Mm.
Um, through the interview you guys did, you showed that there is that middle ground
Mhm.
and how the technology can be used for good. So you found this opportunity, you sign up,
Mhm.
and then if I remember, you guys didn't know each other, right?
Nope.
Julie and Anthony.
Did not know.
But so first of all, how long were you in that van? It was a really cool green van.
Yes, very like a neon green. I can't forget it. um, 3 weeks. Three
Three
weeks.
weeks. So you met and then you were in the van for 3 weeks.
Yep. Yep.
Did you guys click right away?
We
Because
did.
I tell you what, I saw and I even wrote somewhere, I was like, great connection between Julie, Anthony, and Demaceo. You guys just like, all of you were so like, okay, when I say the word dorky, it's not bad, okay?
Sure.
But like each of you have such a different personality.
Hmm.
Like Julie, like she was just like
She was the boss.
she was I could tell.
She was the boss.
And go Julie.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was teaching you guys dances. I remember on top
Yes.
of the van.
Yes. It's funny actually when we were doing that, we were parked at a gas station in I believe Virginia, I think,
Yeah.
and just to fuel up the RV. But while we were doing that, the like gas station attendants came out and they were like cheering us on, and they were like, "This is so." It was a cute
I
moment.
don't think you see that in the
No.
documentary, but that was really cool. So that's what I really like. There was connection between you guys, the three, and all different personality came together. So tell me what, or tell the listeners about that documentary. What states did you go to, and who did you talk to?
Maine for the first part of it, and we spoke to Fernando Nascimento, and he is a assistant professor at what is the name of that college? Starts with the B. I
Okay.
can't remember, but He was our first interview, and that was like I could speak for hours on that conversation with Fernando. But to move on to the other states that we traveled to, we went from Maine and Massachusetts, and
Okay.
then New York,
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey, DC, Ohio, and Kentucky.
What did you learn about yourself during that trip?
One, I learned that I am. I think I was initially nervous about living on an RV
Mm-hmm.
with strangers because it wasn't just Julie and Anthony and myself. It was also three of the camera crew people.
That's right. That's right. We forgot about that. Yeah.
And so, like, if you think Julie, Anthony, and I were a family, like the other three, Christian, Victoria, and Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
they were just as much as part of the family too. And so that was really, really cool. But I think initially I was nervous that because I define myself as like an elusive indoor cat. And
Mm-hmm.
so the fact that I'd be, locked in this van, not really, but like,
Yeah. Yeah.
traveling in
Yeah.
this van in a close quarters with people who I didn't know,
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. Uh, that was something where I was like, is this going to be a doozy? And turns out it was so fun. It was so fun. I think every day and every night, one, I just kept reminding myself of like, this is such a unique opportunity. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful to be in it with people that are like, we just gel together so well. So that was one thing I learned. The other thing I learned would probably be, um, I I what I saw through all of these interviews were people who were just genuinely motivated and saw an issue,
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to combat that issue, or um, elevate its uh, what's the word I'm thinking of? Make it more known to the
Yeah. Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and innovation, and a lot of people who are just innovating in their own way in their own spaces, and thinking that all of these problems in regarding to tech are um, rooted in the same issue. It's it's really incentive structures that I think
Mm-hmm.
we've built, and those incentives are driving these outcomes, and the outcomes are having a negative impact on people basically. And it's almost like, well, instead of looking at this huge spider web of like, well, if I pull on this string, then over there gets pulled, and over there gets pulled, over there gets pulled. If you just boil it all down to like, well, what is the incentive structure behind all of this?
Mm-hmm.
And by looking at it that way, it feels a lot more approachable, and those problems are, um, I'd say easier for people to digest. And so for myself, I think I was overwhelmed by like, there's so many problems, right?
Yeah.
And that can already kind of almost like burn the fuse out in my brain of being like, well, I don't even know where to go, where to begin. Let me just clock in 9 to 5,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just like, keep it going. But I think with that understanding, and then also with just the encouragement that I got from a lot of these people, these leaders in their various fields, and also inspiration too as well, and hope really, because
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that they're doing is not just like a side project in their basement. They're out there speaking to people, getting policy, and just really enacting change.
Because you guys talk to professors, you talk to somebody when you were in DC who works for the government, right?
Chris.
Chris, that was also very, very interesting. And I remember like Julie was asking him, because I remember she said, I work for Microsoft, right? I
She
believe
had, yes.
she had. And she said, when I told my parents I wanted to go to, public service, it's like, because again, when you work in a private sector, you make way more money, right? Like an insane amount of money, and especially in technology.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go to the government work or to the public work, you don't make as much,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Chris answering very honestly about that, right? What you get what you get by doing the work, right?
Mm.
It's like we are very honest about how, about the pay and everything. Um, and I think that like money cannot be your driver when you go to
Mhm.
public work. Like it just can't be. I mean, we all have to have money because we live in the society
Right.
where we have to pay our bills, right? But money cannot be your driver.
When I had gotten my first job in tech,
Mm-hmm.
all of my peers, they, and even people in the classes that graduated above me, had always made it known that the job hunt is one of the toughest, grueling parts of this journey. And when I graduated, I fell into an opportunity. Someone who I'd previously gone to high school with, who
Mm-hmm.
lives in Denver, his a company that he works at, this fintech company
Mm-hmm.
that's out in the Bay Area, where they're hiring.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, let me apply. Applied, and then had one interview. And initially, throughout these interviews, I was like, this is going to be great practice for whenever I do, land a job, or when I get a job offer. I didn't think that I was going to get this job, but I was putting in my best work to
Right.
try to do it. But I was also viewing it as like, this is going to be great experience for future interviews. Turns out after like the fourth interview, they were like, hey, we want you now. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I joined this team, and the team of engineers were just so just awesome, really great group. And the team, sorry, the team, great. The company, I felt like the mission was like a pretty solid one.
Mm-hmm.
Though it was, again, it was corporate America. It was my first corporate America job.
I don't know if you realize that you give such a great advice right now to young people who entering the world of job hunting, right? Because you said, in my mind, I thought, I'm just practicing, right? You weren't like, I really want this job. Every little thing that's happening depends on this job.
Right, yeah.
So I am sure that you were more relaxed.
Yeah.
You were yourself. Because I think, like, I don't know about you, but I am not a great interviewer. I am better than when it's, because I feel like to me, interview is like so pretendable. Tell me about the time when you was like, oh my gosh, let me, But I think you gave such a great advice. Just don't think of this like as like, oh my gosh, everything depends on it. I just wanted to say this.
Yes, and I would say that in that time of my life, I think that with how much the anxiety of the job search had been built up prior to doing it, that I was just already kind of mentally placing myself as like, this is not. I think this was like my third job that I applied to. And so I was like, this is going to be one of like hundreds, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so there was that kind of like stew that I was already sitting in, right?
Yeah.
But then also, I think that I was in a place of privilege where like I didn't necessarily like. I think there are people who they would had this opportunity and been like, I really do need this job, and silencing that anxiety would have been a bit tougher to manage. And in my, I guess, counterpoint to that, my philosophy is, if you are interviewing or being interviewed, and you feel like you have to be disingenuous, or like put on a mask, or very robotic, ask yourself, is that face that you're putting on going to be sustainable for a full-time 9-to-5 job, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to be able to show up like that all the time? And if they are like, granted, I get like when you're being interviewed for a job, it's almost like this is your representative,
Yeah.
So I do understand that, like, having to kind of like adapt, right? But at the end of it, if you're just not being your authentic self, at least for the role that you're presenting as, then you're gonna be tied to a job that you're gonna end up being very miserable at.
Yeah.
I would imagine, where if you have to put on a face, like a really rundown face, essentially, when you show up to work. And again, I also understand that there's privilege in that too as well. But really, this was also for some of the students that I was mentoring, where like if they didn't get the job, I'd be like, well, they didn't see the value that you brought, and why would you want to be working on a team that
Exactly.
So like,
exactly.
you just gotta flip the perspective and then keep pushing.
Question I have for you is that so you got the job, you got really lucky, you get the first job. And I remember when we first met, which seems like a while ago now,
Like March, maybe?
probably
April, maybe, yeah.
April, March, that you said you didn't feel like you were nourishing yourself and you felt like a robot.
Yes. So I went on a little tangent there, and I did want to circle back to that. Yes. The team, amazing. And though, again, prior to working at this fintech company, corporate America, and prior to the pandemic, because we had just gotten, through the pandemic, it was 2020, I was working in forests and islands and oceans and whatnot.
You
And so
traveled a lot
but I was just working for travel, so it wasn't like I was like necessarily vacationing.
No, that's what I meant. Your job was like
and though, so then being working from home for corporate America, so where I would get out of bed, make a little breakfast, and then sit at my office desk, which was like 20 feet away from my bed, right?
Yeah.
It was very like, in a rat cage almost, right? And yes, my team that I was working with, to this day, still great people. It was more about the work that I was doing, that it just felt like I had steered off my path. And at the same time too, though, I was living in downtown Denver and rent was expensive. So I was like, well, this 6-figure salary job is covering that. My needs are met. I should be really happy and thankful and whatnot. And and yet
I should be.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna let you finish, but we have to come back to this. I should be happy. Okay, go on.
So I think those times, like I do look back at those days and I'm like, there are times where I'm like, oh, things were so much easier on an economic front, right? But it was so it was a dry routine, really. It was one that I don't think I was actually putting in any fuel in the tank, and it was just all like exhausting it. And by the end of the workday, I would be just deflated, and I would go from sitting from my office desk to just like crawling over to my couch and putting on a movie and just sitting there. And then it'd be like, okay, it's now time for bed. And I'd go to the bed, and then and so it was just like this migration between bed, office desk, couch, boom, 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 boom. And because the job that I was hired for, they didn't really have the role completely defined out yet either. So while I was working there, they were still defining the role, and it was almost like I was kind of like on like I was kind of like put on hold.
Yeah.
And so there's this weird dynamic of like I'm getting thousands of dollars, but like for the first 2 or 3 months, I was kind of just like sitting there in my chair, and being like, I was like, is this like, are y'all testing me? Like it felt,
Yeah. No,
very,
I get it.
And at the same time too, I was like, I was so inspired to get into tech via some various different conversations of people who were doing various different like investigations or stories on this, that, and the third, whether it be ethical dilemmas within tech or just how are resources, being managed for this. And that was something where I was like, this seems like the avenue that I want to approach. And when then I landed my first job, and I was like immediately like, yes, because also at the time I had a mentor, and when she was like, they offered you the job, you get all these benefits, you have a wild salary, say yes. Like, what are you talking about? And so, and I don't regret saying yes. I think that I needed to have that experience to know like what did I want,
So many things.
So many things.
So many things I wanted to say. First of all, like I want to go back to that. I should be right.
Yep.
I have I'm out of college. I'm living in downtown Denver. I got this crazy job with this crazy money. Why am I not happy? And I've heard Demaceo, I've heard from so many people, either, either that's be somebody who's well known, right? Who we see on TV, whoever that may be. They say like, I thought when I get the money, I will be happy. And then I have all this money now. Why am I not happy? Because I believe like we all have, calling in life, whatever it is may be, right? And the money is not gonna, it solves some things, but it's not gonna solve everything, right? And it's like it proves again and again and again that money is not a way to happiness. Money can do a lot of things. I don't want to sit here like, okay, I mean, I drive a car, I have clothes, but it's not like that ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And you sit and you're like, well, I have everything. What else do I need? Because there's something deeper, right?
I think money is it's convenient.
It is.
Like when you have it, it can be convenient.
It's convenient. It can bring you more resources, right? You are able to help, different people, different causes. But as far as like just that ultimate, happiness, that's not it.
Because if you have like $1 million in the bank, but you don't you have no purpose, you have nothing like that's driving you or passion. It's almost like, well, that $1 million it's waste.
It is, yeah. But also, another thing I've noticed, because you said before you got the job, you were traveling, you did marine biology, right? So you were traveling all over. You were outside, and even a little social media that you have, right? Like you are all outside. You have your dog, by the way, is so cool.
I love him.
So cool. He's so fluffy. But like you are that type of person, outdoor traveling. So, oh my gosh, I cannot imagine how miserable you were. You can feel it even through you like. I don't know if I'm right, but I felt like even like now talking, you were brought back to that time. You were like, I was from here. It's like almost like a zombie, right?
Yeah.
I have this money. I'm living. Why am I not happy? Yeah. But you can tell that you were not.
And even actually, I got the dog Woozy. Woozy is his name. I got him because I was like, I'm not going outside.
Were you lonely?
I feel like, I don't know if. Because again, I would describe myself as like an elusive indoor cat, and I feel like cats are quite solitary.
Yeah.
And because of that indoor part too as well, I was like, with that job, I was like, well, this is it, right? This is comfortable. It's convenient, right?
Yeah.
It's very convenient. I don't have to commute to work. Like I should be so grateful, right? I don't have to go in and be having to do the small talk with all of my coworkers and stuff. Like I should be so grateful, right?
Yeah.
And in my brain, for whatever reason, at the time I was like, I'm not motivated enough to take myself outside. But if I have a dog,
you have to.
I have to.
You have to.
Right, I have to. And also, I just would want that dog to live its best life too. As
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get this dog, and happiest night and day difference. And I think that from getting Woozy, I have definitely gone out on hikes and explored and done so many other things. But it was nice, I think, as a post-pandemic, like re-acclimating back into society, and having this little fluffy dog that, honestly, he makes like the most rugged construction workers just like swoon, and it's
so
precious.
Cute.
It's precious.
So cute.
It's very precious. But I love him. And I'm grateful for that, I guess, side quest perhaps, that had made kind of like put things more into perspective, and even more so like after I was done working at that financial tech institution, organization or whatever. But once I was done working for them, it was a lot of like little contracty gigs, right? Or freelance jobs, and
because you're a software engineer, right? So you know how to do all kinds of techy stuff.
But then also when I to kind of like circle back to my time at Turing, learning software engineering, at the end before you graduate, each student is expected to like give a lightning talk, or essentially kind of like a capstone or something of that nature, where it is an ethical dilemma involving tech, and a PowerPoint. You give it to the underclassmen, and at the time, I was actually trying to get access to ChatGPT because at the time there was this stir about this new thing that's going to be coming out.
What year?
This was 2020.
Okay,
Yep.
2020. So
Mm-hmm. and at the time it was not public access. You had to like request, you had to message them and be like, hey, I would like an access, key to your thingy so I can test it for this, that, and third. And by the time I submitted it, like their wait list was hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people. And so I didn't get
did you have to
access.
pay for that or just?
No, I didn't. Well, I ended up not getting the access to it.
Oh,
They never
okay.
got back to me in time for my talk. But I knew that this thing was coming, and it was going to just stir up the not just the software engineering world, but just the world in general at large. And sure enough, it did. However, I do think that I've been able to utilize it as a tool for just my own productivity and creating tools that I want to see, out in the world. And so AI definitely has a like, the pictures of like the iceberg, right? And like the top of it is exposed, and then a chunk of it is not exposed. I would say like the part that we know of is that little chunk at the top, right? And it's still a mix of like good and bad things, but underneath it, I'd say it's just a whole other mess, really, and a mess in a way that I think can be steered, but I think we also again are so succumbed by like the incentive structures and for these big tech companies.
When you said incentive structure, can you talk more about that? Because I don't know if I know truly what you mean by that.
Yeah, the incentive structures for just like any corporation, any company, is to sell your product, right?
Yeah.
And have your product be well received and have it be continued like compete well in the markets too as well. And so I'd say like generally that is just the incentive structure of how do we cut costs and while also pumping out this thing, right? And that what leads to a lot of like things not being regulated to the degree that they should, or the classic case of like I'm going to build it because I can, rather than like should I?
What I wanted to talk. I have a few questions for you when it comes to AI, I guess, right? Because it's booming right now. And then I wanted to go back to your documentary because we still have to
We're all
cover.
over the place.
I know, but because it's like you bring in so many different, different points. I think even you talking about working for corporate America, like I had the same, not the same. I wasn't working for TAG, but I was working in finance, right? And how horrible that was, how depleting it was, right? Like COVID really changed the world.
Yeah.
It changed how we look at the world, how we look at the workplace, how we look at a lot of things, right? So I think that's really interesting, and I think a lot of people can relate. And I'm like you when I talk about that experience, it's still like, I mean, I've let it go quite a lot, but I still like when I was like, oh my gosh, like staying up to like 2 a.m. because I had to finish, it was horrendous. But I do want to talk to you about AI and technology in general, and I kind of wanted to hear some of your thoughts. When I think about social media, for example, right? Like Facebook, it was like this big thing. And I think essentially when it was created, it was like to connect people, right? Like, oh, you and I went to college and then we moved to different cities or whatever, but then we can still connect. And I think that essential, goal, it was great, right? Who doesn't want to be connected, with people that you maybe don't see every day? And now, I mean, I think I saw yesterday or the day before this article that Meta and Facebook, I don't know, I think they're all one thing, being sued for the harm that they did to children, So like how it went from like, let me build, let me build this thing,
So
right?
it's back to the best of intentions are cut short with the current incentive structure that we have. And I think with social media, right, with it could have been the best of intentions of like connecting people and whatnot, but the underlying incentive structure behind it that was pushing it and pushing it and pushing it made it into something that is causing extreme harm.
Extreme. I mean, look at that. Look at even, I mean, children altogether, but also what it does to, you can also talk about young boys versus young girls, right? The loneliness factor, all of this, that you have to match up to this standards. And we know that nobody looks like that, like all these filters and everything, can dig so much deeper. But you're right, you start with something, right? And because, how much money can we make? And and it becomes bigger and bigger, and it loses that essential goal, right? So, and now we have this AI, artificial intelligence, right? I really, really dislike this word intelligence. And I had a woman on my podcast who built an AI company, and she said it's anything but intelligent, right?
Yep.
How did AI started?
How did AI start?
And what was like, if you know, and what was like that essential, that like simple goal, simple mission?
I like to view AI as, it's a glorified calculator.
I love that. I love that.
It's great at pattern recognition. And that the term that's being used for this tool, this term of artificial intelligence, I think that is more of a marketing ploy. And I don't like exactly what the guest that you're referring to, saying it's anything but intelligent. It's that I think it's been given this term artificial intelligence because the public is aware of like this shiny thing in Hollywood that is termed as AI. And granted, a lot of the Hollywood stuff doesn't make it like a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And yet we stuck with it. But no, I'm not sure exactly what the origins were for that. But I was just talking to one of my good friends about how when you're like, let's say like 2017, 15, if you were texting on your phone, there would be autocomplete, right?
Yeah.
Or how, like if you were saying like, I just went to, and then there might be like a little word after it, and it might be like grocery store or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's that predictive text. So it's almost like that's kind of what these language learning models are. They're just like, this is one word that was chosen. What is the likelihood that this next word is going to be chosen, and so on and so forth. And obviously it's more complicated than that. But I would like to say like that is the
kind of the basis of it. Yeah. You hear so many different people have different opinions. Obviously, people that, like OpenAI and all this, social media companies, they love it because, again, there is a lot of money in it. And I heard somebody saying, or like not somebody, just kind of like the chatter, it will destroy the humanity.
Humanity of what? Just just human race in general, or just like your humanity and like, because I would also argue
I don't believe in that. Right. I don't believe in that because I think to go back to it's not intelligence. I think we as humans, our like brain capacity, and I think I don't want to say we cannot be destroyed, but I believe that humans are much more intelligent than any machine, because machines, they work because like in this AI or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, whatever the name, like whatever human did, it was put into them, right? The human collective knowledge was put into this machine. So I don't believe in that. And it's a good question, like humanity, like of what? I'm not sure, but it's like some people say it will destroy it, but now they will say, no, it will not. But like kind of what do you think that this rapid race of AI, where do you think it's going, and will it destroy something?
I remember back in like what 2000, I don't know, 2000, sometime between 2015 2018, right? Where I'd be talking to my friends and I'd be like, with artificial intelligence, it depends on who builds it. Or if you were to build it and then I were to build it, our things would come out two different things, right?
Yeah.
If an elephant were to build it, completely different, thing, right? what is it being trained on? It, to my knowledge, is being trained on everything that humans have discovered, and anything that's been written, recorded, and the interesting thing about the doomerism behind like this is going to turn into Terminator or something like that is, to me, that says it's a rational fear because of what the model is being trained off of, and it's being trained off of a species that has a lot of rough histories, a lot of rough biases, a lot of bigotry, right? And so when you are training this kind of like a super intelligent toddler, you know, off of all of this stuff, and this super intelligent toddler is able to break out of its sandbox environments, unbeknownst to the researchers, and wreak havoc in real world settings. That is alarming, right? Like that is definitely something that should not just be like swept under the rug.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part is like, well, we don't really know that is a problem until it's already happened, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, now we got to, go back and stuff. And granted, there are a lot of brilliant minds that go into the testing of these models, especially for like deception testing. And I don't know necessarily everything that goes into that, but I think as far as the pace of this AI stuff and how it's going, I think that shout out to Gen Z because
Are you Gen Z or what
I'm
generation?
millennial. I'm millennial.
Go millennials, me too.
yes. But shout out to Gen Z because I've seen like these college graduation moments where some professor or dean is saying something in promotion of AI, and like you just hear the students in the back just like booing.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's there's, and what I see on social media is a lot of people are like, get this AI slop out of here, and I think when it comes to like media and art, it does feel really sloppy. And for my use cases, like I use it for coding, and various like building out various like logic or functions or things of that nature. And in my brain, I'm like, well, this is what I would think that this glorified calculator is best suited for.
Yeah.
But I, unfortunately, we have so many companies that are like, how can we integrate AI into our product, into our workplace, all over the place. And I was, the same friend I mentioned earlier, was talking to him about this, and I was like, it's like they're trying to figure out how to use a hammer to make an omelet, and it's like, you don't need the hammer, right?
Yeah.
You really don't need it. But I think that so many companies are incentivized to integrate AI into their platform and their product that that is one lane that we're going down. I don't know what that's going to lead to, but I would imagine that at some point, and I think this was something that I'd heard in a lecture that I was listening to, where they had said, like, what happens when the AI that's integrated into like a company that knows the company so well and whatnot, that the employees and the C-suite level people are now actually beholden to the AI, essentially being like, hey, what should our next move be, right?
Yeah.
Because it knows every, like it has all of the stuff written, and so now they're almost they're maybe not intentionally, but they've fallen into now taking commands by this robot
Machine.
that has it hallucinates so much, and and if you're just taking it at face value and not reading through whatever it's returning back, you're going to get lost. And for companies, and granted, obviously these things are becoming more advanced and improved and efficient and whatnot. But I don't. I just I stand by. A lot of these companies do not need a hammer to make an omelet, and yet they are insisting on trying to figure out a way of how they can use this hammer to make an omelet. And I'm just kind of like, it's you don't you really don't need to.
I think, I think this could be a tool, right? Like you said that you use it for coding, right? I don't know nothing about coding, but
It's fun. You should try.
I leave that up to you. You don't want me to try that. But like I think it should be a tool, and I think AI, if you look at it as just a tool and not replacement for people, but in enhancing people or like helping people, right? That's fine, that's fine. The other day I needed to write something and it needed to be like 200 characters, and because I also, like you, I like to talk, and so I can just say yes or no answer, and it's need to be 200 characters, and I'm like trying, and it's no, like over 10. I'm like, dang it. So I put it into Claude. I use Claude,
Me too.
and spit out my words. I wrote it, but I was like, can you make it to 200 characters?
Yes.
And you know what I mean? And he did.
It's
and
convenient.
and
It's
it was
convenient,
great.
yeah.
But I didn't ask Claude to write the whole thing,
Right,
I
right.
wanted to still be me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It just needed to fit into this.
It just needed to fit into that. But also you mentioned like in the like creative world, my husband, he is photographer and videographer. He's very creative, and so obviously he sees a lot of stuff that are made with AI, and he's like, how can people look at it and say that this is beautiful? Like what human mind and like human eyes in a sense of like when you photographer, right? Which you can see, I don't think machine can see that. They are not intelligent, they don't have the brain, they just robot is a robot, and it does what you tell it. But I think it's that money chase.
Yes.
Money chase so much that people like almost blinded, just kind of running towards unknown.
I look at it as almost like things in like AI generated art, and for the people who are posting it seriously, right? I think of it almost as if like it's like a botched plastic surgery, and they're like going around, and they're being like, look at it, and everyone's like, are you sure? Like this,
Yeah.
But like there's just a lens that some people just get so entranced, I think, by it, and also by again that convenience of like I think if I were to take a picture, and let's say that it was a family photo, but in the background there was I don't know, like
Something.
some people that I didn't want in there.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And let's say I don't know how to necessarily like manually Photoshop that out. I could be like, hey, AI, take out this person in the
Take out
background,
this
right?
cousin. I
Right.
don't really like him.
yeah. And I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Right. I think that for people who also don't have the resources to have their own like green screen or animation studio or things like that, they can play around with AI. And because like I remember at one point I had I had taken a transcript from a YouTube video that was documenting like it was like a hypothetical scenario of like if World War III were to happen, right? What in this area, like what would you do? Took that transcript, and at the time I gave it to Sora, which was ChatGPT's like video generation thingy, and I just put the transcript, gave it to that, and I was like, let's see what it builds, right? And what it built, I was like, I wouldn't watch this on my own time,
Yeah.
right? But I then did a cross comparison of like, what if I took, instead of just the transcript from a YouTube video, what if I took a like a screenplay essentially, or something that was like written with extreme detail, and put that in there. And so if you're into, I guess, like writing and things of that nature, and are curious like what would this vision like look like in real life, you could do it. But then again, also by submitting that to the AI, then you're kind of like providing it with your
Yeah.
intellect, and then that goes into a whole other just roundabout of like whose rights and whose intellectual property is it. So if you are an artist, yeah, I think that it's looking bleak. I think it's looking bleak for a lot of professions. And though, again, this is a tool, and I do see on a lot of various documentaries or animation type things where at the top corner of it, it'll say like no AI was used in the generation of this. And so I think there's there's kind of like a slow movement that's
I think so
yeah,
too.
it's a, just like this underground current of people who are just like, we didn't want this. We wanted like free healthcare, you know, like we didn't want this. And yet it's even more interesting because I've been seeing things in the news of like various towns where data centers are about to be built in there.
Yeah.
And like the people who are living there are like, we don't want this here, but their politicians have already been like essentially bought off by
But yeah,
tech, lobbyists
billionaire
and things like that, right?
and then lobbyists. Yeah.
And it's sad, and there some things. I mean, things have been happening, and I think circling back to that documentary, it was really heartening to see like people, boots on the ground essentially, in getting things done, and not just kind of like accepting
Yeah.
the future that is trying to be sold to them by these tech conglomerates, of saying like, hey, AI is the future, or yada yada yada, and so on and so forth. I think that it two things can be true. Like AI can be part of the future, but it's like we need to regulate it, and we need to have a serious conversation like that involves everybody, in the room, who's going to be impacted by this. And also, I'm actually not opposed to AI taking people's jobs, with the one thing that whoever's job is replaced, like there should be some sort of system in place where that is, because I think at some point, like I mean, Elon Goofy Musk, so, like he was wishing for a whole like slew of Autobots that essentially would be, by having all these Autobots, we would have infinite resources, and with infinite resources, we'd have no need for money, and then with that, then no one has to work, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, sure, you can pitch that, and I imagine a lot of people, if they are taking it just at face value, that is something that seems very alluring, right?
Yeah.
Not by Elon Musk. And also,
Speaking of person who has a lot of money and is not happy.
right? But yeah, not by him. And also, like, there are people who are like, I find that my purpose is through the work that I do, and I think that those people who have found that, I think that's great for them, right? And it's like, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stop doing it. I don't think you should have to stop doing it. And also, there's a level of like, what are the people who are working paycheck to paycheck and so on and so forth, and are doing stuff, or are working not because it's a job that they want to do, but it's because they have to do it just to make it the next day. For those people who, let's say now, boom, AI is now, and now they have like freedom to do whatever they want to do. Like what with that liberty, like what can be made out of that? Like when the human brain is kind of like unshackled from that system in place, and that incentive structure of like, I think it could be a really beautiful world. And granted, we have so many other things. There's so many underlying issues before AI entered the scene that had yet to be tackled, that now with AI on the scene it's just like, come on.
You know what I'm hoping is that that because you're right, there's so many issues that needs to be solved before AI, but I'm hoping because this AI thing, it's so big that it's showing other issues, right? Like that we need to tackle
and
first.
solving other issues too.
And solving other issues. But I also think and this will be the last thing on the AI, because I really want to talk about documentary.
Sure.
I think what's happening right now, and I'm going to say in this country, it's a movement.
Mhm.
It's a movement that's happening with a lot of things, politics, also like, with this AI thing. And I do think that Gen Z, I also will say shout out to them. I give them a lot of shit sometimes. I have friends who
Yeah.
are, but I think that they're doing something good. Like when there's a walkout of, students, because it was graduation when June or May, right? There was a lot of walkouts
Yep.
because this big tech, like, we don't want to hear you.
Yeah.
We want somebody to inspire us, to tell us everything's going to be okay, and not like, hey, use AI,
Right.
So I think there is a movement in a lot of different areas, and I'm very hopeful, because I think it's really easy to say everything's doomed, we are doomed, we're gonna die, and everything is like falling apart.
Right,
Like,
right.
I mean,
It's easy to just throw the flag up.
it is, and it's like, whatever, but I always think that we now standing on the shoulders of people who fought for us, either that's women rights, either that's civil rights, either whatever rights it is, whatever fight our, the generation before us fought. We have to continue
Yeah,
that to
yeah.
make,
Or it's going to be taken away.
or
Like
it's going to be
yeah.
taken away, because like that's why I think there's so much like especially when you look at the like a general media, right? It's not news anymore, it's just everybody trying to scare us, either that's CNN or Fox or whoever, right? But I do think that that a lot of good things are happening, and if we treat it as a tool, as it should be, I think we can move on.
Well, then it's like, yes, it is a tool, and then also how are we utilizing that tool? But then going back to Gen Z, and I would say millennials too. With Gen Z, it seems like there is this more. It seems like they're just more drawn to getting their news from social media, whether that be net positive or net negative, given how like the social media landscape can be easily kind of like altered and put people into bubbles, right? But I do think that like the more so like on the ground, somewhat grassroots, or just like the local civilian who's posting on TikTok or anything of that, and they're like, hey, this is what's happening here on the ground, like right now, currently. It seems like a lot of people are departing, getting their news from those bigger mainstream ones and seeking something more genuine out of these.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that people seeing all this like big giants, either that's tech, either that's media, for who they really are and what their big mission is.
Yeah.
And they like, no,
Yeah.
because either that's whatever, like progressive, conservative, whatever. I think they are all answering to one person.
Yeah.
And
like one big goofy family.
And we know who those people are, but you're right. I do think that there is a lot of like independent media that younger generation is seeking. I also like, where I like to get my news. I am a huge fan of stand-up comedy. Huge. So I'm like, let the daily news just make it a little bit more
Digestible?
not digestible and not as like, because I get angry when I watch it. Like you cannot like
And it seems like with are you talking about Jon Stewart?
Jon
Okay.
Stewart, so Jon Stewart and Daily News and bunch of other people, Trevor Noah used to be one,
It feels more actionable. It feels
Yes,
like
yes,
it seems like
absolutely.
the people that who are giving you that news also have that platform. One, you're like, it's great that this message is being spread out, but on top of that too, they are also, I think, utilizing their money in generous ways or encounter.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.
And so that's hope or heartening too as well. And like if you've listened to Democracy Now, love Amy. She's that was something that I was just every morning on during the pandemic, in which I also think that there's times where I was like, I got to turn this off because
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Pandemic was tough.
Yeah. And
if you're not careful, you will be drinking Clorox.
Yikes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, good old times. Woo, that was scary.
So much simpler.
I know, right? Okay, Demaceo,
Yes.
let's go to your documentary.
Yes,
I have,
right.
but you know what? It's great. See, it's great. Like I love sitting across from smart people who have interesting idea, who are, genuine, about to talk about these things, right? So like thank you for giving like your thoughts, your ideas about AI and technology, because like I said, there's some things that I don't know about, so I love to have people that like can explain to me, can tell me, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who will love this conversation. But so again, you did this amazing, amazing, amazing documentary. I watched it 5 times. It's short, it's 30 minutes, but it's very speaking about being genuine, being yourself, being authentic, not just the three of you, but all the people you interview. Building Better Future for Us. You can watch it on PBS. Um, so a few things I wanted to tell you.
Also,
Yes,
did you watch the second part?
there is second
There's
part.
a second part. First part is 30 minutes, and then there's a second part to it, like a second episode, essentially.
Please send me a link for it. But I told you that there is some part I related to. So Anthony,
Mhm.
I saw my.
Anthony is so precious, also, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Please tell him to watch this episode, because I saw myself in him when I was younger. It seemed to me that he, like, I feel like for each of you guys it was a different journey of why you decided to do this
Yes.
documentary. And I feel like Anthony was looking for something, and I can't find the word, but I remember when you guys went, oh my gosh, Genevieve,
Oh yeah.
she like she looked at him and she said, and I might be paraphrasing, people will see you and they will see your value. And like that was that moment, I like had to go back because maybe he was looking for to be seen and to be heard in a way maybe that he wasn't before. And I don't know if that's right, but that's kind of what I got. And when Genevieve said it to him, like I had tears in my eyes, because you need people
Yeah.
to tell you that I see you,
Yeah.
and other people will see you, and those who don't, they're not worth
Yeah.
your energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was during that road trip, there were so many times where he'd be like, "This is my first time doing this and this." And
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
And so that was really cool to just be there, and while he was experiencing all these new things. And he had expressed his own like desire to like build up his own self-confidence. And I think that with this road trip and this experience of like leaving New York for the first time, he had also, before the road trip, we had flown out to California for like just a pre, like that was the first time we actually got to meet together. We also to practice driving the RV, which nightmare, people. Like they were like, y'all, you're gonna drive the RV, and we were like once it got down to the actual road trip, none of us wanted to drive the RV. It was like, this is
So it's like a big machine.
it's massive, and also it's like, what happens if I crash it? And then like the next 2-3 weeks it's just gone. Like I don't want to be the one that does that. And the camera crew, like granted, they are working around the clock, and luckily Christian and Andrew loved driving the RV, and so they were like, we got this, and
They did it.
yeah, they did it. But Anthony, yes, he had a lot of experiences going through that, and I think all of us definitely grew in ways. But I feel like Anthony grew the most out of it, and now he's in New York working for SUNY Tech Lab, and still is involved in this like public interest tech atmosphere. And actually, one of the people that we had spoken to and interviewed was one of his, I want to say his old like professor or something like that. And so it was nice. It was just seeing his journey, being able to witness it too as well. also there were several moments where I was like, the time period that you're doing this at in your life is so perfect. And I think that in perhaps um, his brain, he might have been like, might have felt out of place at times. But I think one, Julie always kept the vibes up. Was the point of like the like we all just took our direction essentially from her, and that I think that foundational support, as well as this kind of like we're all now like free range chickens, you know, just like on this RV going around the country. It facilitated that growth
Yeah.
immensely, and with the people that we spoke to, they also were so just again inspirational and empowering too, and had such unique backgrounds and stories of like how they got to where they're at now, and how it really all stems from kind of like if you're you have a vision or a dream for yourself and you don't know like the path to take, it might be that you have to pave that own your like that path for yourself, and there might be people along the way that can kind of like steer you in the direction and help you like get there and whatnot. But um, there's nothing wrong with pursuing a path that has yet to be kind of like paved out, right? Because I think, and I really actually really think that with millennials and Gen Z and whatnot, like we've been sold this American dream of like, you know, go to school, go
Yeah.
to college, family, boom, life, career, and then you're set. That was that path that was supposed to be rolled out in front of us, you know, and a lot of us tried taking it, and then we're getting at some point where we're like, what happened to that dream, and feeling disenfranchised. And so I think there are just a lot of people who are now just more empowered to trek down the path that they, you know, as unpaved. So that was another tangent too.
I love hearing that. And you know what? I want to quickly go back to Anthony. I think yeah, he was looking for confidence, and he was looking for that feeling I am enough as I am. Also,
Yes.
was he how old was he? Because you guys did the documentary in 2025, right?
We did it in 2024. I believe.
2024. Okay,
Yeah,
now it's
and
2026.
it aired in 2025.
Was
He was
he
the
the-
youngest one. He was
the youngest
but he was
one.
the youngest one by like I want to say like 5 years or
Okay.
6 years or something. And uh, it was, but like he was the youngest one out of our group, but he is the oldest brother in his family. And so like I was just like that's funny because I'm also like I was the oldest one in our group, but I'm like the younger brother, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I feel like I'm being a child. And though Anthony, he really did have like a really there was times where I'd be like, you're kind of like the dad of the group, you know?
Yeah.
Like there was just this energy about him that, albeit yes, maybe he was searching for that confidence or that reassurance that you know he is enough and he's pursuing the right thing, and whether it would be like fake it till you make it
Yeah.
or if it was just like, hey, you know, I'm here for to get the most out of this experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think we all absolutely were. But I don't think that it didn't. He never came off to me as being like the immature, you know, like young
Yeah, yeah,
person
yeah.
at all.
No, but I think, it's sometimes like when we just simply haven't lived, as many years, right? We just don't have the experience and stuff. But I really loved at the end because you guys at towards the end of that episode, right? Each of you said like kind of how did it change you and everything, and he said, I want to take my family out, I like travel more and stuff, and how important traveling is. I know I'm sounding like a mother, but I'm so proud of him because you see even like through those 3 weeks how he changed, and like, oh yeah, I want to travel more with my family. I feel like Julie was looking for, because she was like, and I don't know at the time if she already left Microsoft or not.
She did, yeah.
She did, right? But also like making sure kind of like that she made the right decision, and that towards the end, like, oh yeah, I love this kind of space of public service. But for you, because you were working at the tech, that tech company, when you went on to doing this documentary, did you already leave your job? You did. So tell me, what were you looking for?
Initially, I was looking for the experience.
Yeah.
I was looking for Something that
Traveling and being outside.
traveling, being outside, and the kind of uncovering like what is this public interest technology? Because like I had Googled it and I was like, oh, this is the term that I've been defining, just didn't have the language for, and hearing that it's a relatively new field. I believe it was the Obama administration who had like first kind of like paved out a government role in this
Thanks,
sector field.
Obama.
Yeah, thanks, Obama. Yeah. I think it might be gone now given the current administration, but I all this to say is that it's a relatively new field, and it is increasingly becoming more and more significant and important, and it just crosses into so many just different faculties of life. I think one thing is I wanted to know, did I need, I guess, having switched to having done this career pivot from environmentalism to tech, my brain was like, is there no middle ground, right? And do I really just have to like either pick the paycheck or the passion, right?
Yeah.
And in with this public interest technology experience, it really was like again, that first interview with Fernando was like, I'm smiling now, but like like I remember afterwards of being like, I just wish I could be a student of his, you know, like this is a professor over there. Boyden College is the name of it, and just the work that he's doing, and also so many of the people that we'd spoken to and the work that they're doing, it was all just like, okay, cool. It's just, I think what I need to do now is better define like what exactly, how am I going to merge these two things together? And I think with, again, all of these issues that, are on the plate, it's almost like, oh, how do I just pick one, right? And so I think seeing that there are people who are just like, hey, you don't have to pick them all up. Like, like I've got this one over here, and like I've got this one over here, and I've got this one, this one. So now it's like, okay, these are bases that are already being touched on by really remarkable people, brilliant people. Less pressure, less overwhelming, for my own brain, right? And I can kind of like dial into again, how can I bring that passion back in while also utilizing tech? Because I grew up on the computer. I was a little nerd, and I don't want to. I don't want to make it seem like tech is this huge evil, just beast of a machine. It's technology, and like as a species, we've been using technology since dawn of our existence in just a series of different ways. How though do we utilize technology in a more ecologically harmonious way?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that I'm gearing more towards into.
The last question I have for you, because this is moments that define us, and without naming like, oh, this was defining moment, you've talked about so many defining moments in your life, and we just, obviously just scratch the surface, because there's so much more to you than just, your job or what you do. But today specifically, I did want to talk about documentary and technology. But my last question for you is, what was the defining moment that helped you make decision on how to move forward after the documentary, either that's in your professional life and in your personal life?
It's tough because I've always viewed my life and experiences as this like mosaic of chaos, right? And when I say chaos, I mean it more in like a beautiful way, a unique way, right? But to zone in on just one experience and expect that that's going to be like the bigger picture, where you have to like take a step back and be like, oh, this is like the this is what makes me up as a whole. What moment out of that? I think there's several instances between having filmed that documentary and it coming out where my interactions with a variety of people and either them hearing my story or something of that sort, where I leave and I'm like, we're good. Like we're good. We're heading down a path that energetically and internally doesn't feel opposing. And I think that's something that if I start to feel like how I did back in corporate America, I think I can pick up on that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's something off here. And as far as my current pursuits, it's just feeling like, it might not be paying off right now, but it's really more so about the energy that you're investing and what you're building up into and like the foundation that you're building. And then it's just going to accumulate into hopefully fulfillment, which I would imagine. And I which is not to say like I'm not currently fulfilled. It's almost like I am investing in a future that will be fulfilling. Really,
Yeah.
that's the mindset that it's in.
I think one of the defining moment for you was that when you started with tech, right? You were like, am I betraying myself, right? Then you went to this corporate America and you like, was feeling a certain way. And then you found the documentary and you said, I was feeling overwhelmed because yes, sometimes when you look at the big picture, it's like, what can I as a one person be able to do? But I think the documentary and going and talking to these people who are in tech, but building better tech for everybody, you were able to maybe find your place. What can you do as Demaceo, like in your bubble, so to speak, right? So to me, through this conversation and now like, having to talk to you and then going back to the documentary, I was like, I think that what it was for you, just what I saw as an outsider,
I would agree. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that, I mean, again, that whole experience was a moment that is going to forever definitely define me.
That was the defining, of the big defining
actually,
moment.
I think without that experience, I definitely, I don't think I would be where I'm at.
Demaceo, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching Moments That Define Us podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you know when the next episode is coming up. But not only subscribe, share with other people so we can build community around this podcast, so we can share more stories, more defining moments. Because as I always said, sharing a story has the power to heal. So subscribe and share, and let's build community. Thank you.